Shalom Aleichem, we're learning the Sicha of Veara Gimel, which is based on two Farbrengens. The majority of the Sicha is based on the Farbrengen of Veara Tavshin Chav Tes, and Ois Ches and Yud Aleph are from Veara Tavshin Tes Vav. So let's first look on Tavshin Chav Tes. Let's see what we could find together. Okay, so the Rebbe it's deep into the Farbrengen. Just before the Rebbe said it's a mimer. And then the Rebbe goes on to say that we explained earlier in the Farbrengen that through the fact that there was tshuva by Moshe for questioning Hashem, the Geula came, and that's connected to that's what it says in the continuation of Parashat Vayidaber Hashem Moshe Lemer, Vayidaber al Param Machutzam Mishalach Bnei Yisrael, etc. Who Moshe va'Aaron. And then it says, and Hashem says, etc. So the explanation in Rashi, the Rebbe during the Farbrengen said that when we're talking about a question of a Ben Chamish L'Mikra, when the Rebbe said the words Ben Chamish L'Mikra, he said the Ben Chamish L'Mikra cares. Says Nagea. It hits him. But the 70-year-old is not listening to anything, and therefore he doesn't care. And this is something the Rebbe would get very, very upset at the Farbrengens, people just falling asleep and spacing out. The Rebbe said that the reason I'm repeating this, even though no one's hearing what I'm saying, and I constantly repeating this, even though it's ineffective, is because it hurts. C'est tout ve. And just like somebody screams when their finger is sore and hurt, even if it doesn't help. So too, the Rebbe says that because if we don't have to cry on this, not because it's going to stop hurting, because it still has to hurt, but because there'll be Merch Shalat Alalev, so I won't have to say, I won't have to cry out about it. Then we went on to the Sicha, that in our Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu Tain is Heinani Adas Vasayim, they can't speak, and therefore Hashem says Alta Tedaber, which is Naftacha, and you have to do it because Sheifa V'Leida L'Doisa, you have to be the one that hurts and tortures Para and gets the message across, the spiritual message across, and then Aaron Achicha will explain it, etc. And the Rebbe says, interesting, I never saw this before, that Lahar, to bring up even the Shakal V'Tarya, the famous discussion regarding it, says that Bas Parai gave Moshe the name Moshe. The question is, we're talking about language, we're talking about that Aaron had to translate Moshe's Hebrew into Egyptian. How does the Bas Parai know Lashon HaKodesh if Parai doesn't know? So some Mefarshim say that Bas Parai called it gave him an Egyptian name, not Moshe, gave him an Egyptian name, and the Torah translates it to Lashon Kodesh. So she gave whatever the Egyptian name for I plucked him out of the water, and the Torah gave Moshe. But the Rebbe says, even though it's a Tesis Hashalom, the Rebbe says it's hey the Torah says she gave the name Moshe. It doesn't say she gave a different name. So we can explain like this. Very interesting. Pashtus. Because she knew it was a Jewish child, and therefore they had to call his mother, but a Jewish woman to nurse him. So the Bas Parai asked the nurse, which is his mother, how do you say in Lashon HaKodesh the idea that I plucked him out of water? And then when Yechevet gave the name, she says, Vatika Shmei Moshe. That's when she gave the name, Batya gave the name Moshe, which I thought was fascinating. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I never heard that. Anyways, the Rebbe continued after the Sikh and says that we spoke about that when the Torah is given through intermediaries, it's still Torah Misinai. It's because these intermediaries are not like a chain, where each ring is an independent reality, one above the other, but rather it's one thing. In other words, it's all one big light. And the Rebbe says this is connected to the dinner that we're having tomorrow in honor of the yeshiva. That so too it should be a yeshiva where we learn Pnimis HaTorah, which affects the limit of Nigla. That the Nigla is also with trepidation because it's the words of Hashem, which is fire, which connects obviously to the idea of it's all the Ma'ar, and through that Safatis Mayanis Chutza, etc. And that was said, this is my portion in the dinner. Fine. Now, just want to go back to what he said at the beginning of the Farbrengen, that the idea of Tshuva, like over here, it's a whole different sicha. The idea that is brought into Chelik Vav, that lama de'oisa, lama zeh, there's a space for it, but ultimately he still has to do tshuva for it, which is Mitzvah Hashem gets to Vav. Fine. Then we go to the second Farbrengen that it's based on, and that is Shabbos Pashas Ve'era Tafshin Tes Vav. That the Rebbe talks over there about the fact that in Torah there are things that are lemaisa, there are things hilchos l'mashiach that are not negeah now, but when Mashiach comes they'll be negeah, and there are things that are not negeah b'poil and ever will be. But you just get reward. However, the Chassidus explains that everything in Torah, even the highest thing, has to still have an avodah b'poil. Doesn't have to be directly connected, but it could be through intermediaries. In other words, you could use your own brain to interpret it, but there has to be a b'chein b'poil. In other words, something that leads to per mamish, especially in ikbesid mashicha, that the ikar avodah is per mamish, so therefore there has to be negeah l'poil. So, in regards to what we said earlier in the Farbrengen, in the Mimer, that Farbrengen, about the Saticha Lekim Lefare, that Moshe becomes the god to Fare, Shefa Vedoida Ludoisiv Makis Yisulim, that Moshe Rabbeinu, because he's in the Shama Batzilus, has the koyach to break the klippa when it's still strong. So because it's something that was revealed in Torah now, not necessarily this Shabbos, but in this generation, there has to be a b'chein. If we're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu and the Shamas Datzilus, that's shaykh to Moshe Rabbeinu. In previous generations, in our generation, the Siadoy, the way they are in the source, but what's that? Nashim Arcane, regular people. So that's what the Alter Rebbe says in Sefer Tanya. That the famous thing, Vati Yisrael Malik Shem Lekecha Shel Mirkim Leyidas Hashem Lekecha. Right? The pasuk says in Parshas Eikev, Moshe says, "What's Hashem asking you? All he's asking you is to serve Hashem with Yira." Says the Gemara, is Yira a small thing? And the answer is, yeah, for Moshe it's a small thing. Asks Alter Rebbe, but still, it's still not a small thing for all of us. And he explained that we all have the Moshe Rabbeinu within us. Obviously, we're not on the same level of Moshe Rabbeinu, because by Moshe Rabbeinu is B'Pshitus, and we have to work hard. Moshe Rabbeinu had the general concept, and we maybe have a plant. Moshe Rabbeinu had it the way it's Atzilus. We have it in Gashmis, but nevertheless, we have it. So too, in regards to what we said earlier in the Maimer, that Moshe Rabbeinu has the Kerch Yechelis L'Yesel Likim Lefare, and we spoke about it in the Sicha as well. So because Moshe Rabbeinu is Yisrael, and every nefesh of Beis Yisrael has Moshe Rabbeinu inside, each and every one of us can stand up the Pareh, and we can break all the klippas and go out Megolus Legula. And then the Rebbe continued the Sicha that we learned, Ois Chesed Yud and Ois Yud Aleph that we learned in our Sicha L'Chaim L'Shalom Hatzlacha Rebbe.